Welcome to Real Estate Radio LA. I'm your host, Gil Azcarate, the hostess with the mostest, the host that gives you the most information for free. Is that unbelievable? Free. But Real Estate Radio LA is dedicated to real estate right here in Los Angeles. This is not a generality. We're talking specifics. We're talking about what's going on right here in La La Land with these interest rates and what's going on with the real estate market. You may think it's going up. You may think it's going down. But I am here to bring fresh, new information every single week. Did you know this is the fastest growing, most popular real estate show in the world and in Los Angeles, JJ? Did you know that?
Yes, I did know that.
Yes, and we can make that up because just like politicians, we just make stuff up around here because why not, right? Nobody's going to prove me wrong. But we are one of, or the only real estate radio show dedicated just to Los Angeles. A 25-year veteran of the real estate industry. I've done it all. I've been an agent, an investor. My mom's a real estate agent. My brother's a real estate agent. We've owned companies. We fixed. We flipped. My first house was in Palmdale, California as an investment. Then the tenant... it caught on fire, just a mysterious fire. Got rid of that, and then I bought out in Huntington Beach. So I'm a seasoned real estate agent, and I'm trying to bring you some great information while I'm saving the American dream one show at a time. The American dream is under attack. It really, really is, and it's changing. So every week when I look for different topics of what to talk about, it really is challenging because am I talking to a buyer? Am I talking to sellers? Am I talking to investors? Am I talking to real estate agents? And you have to keep it fresh. And this topic is one of my favorites. I've been talking about it for months. I am lucky enough to have the man who motivated this whole topic. And if you've heard me before, we're talking about FHA assumables. And I have the pleasure of having one of my very first guests when I first started 2 years ago, Christ Gardner. Welcome to the show, buddy.
Thanks, Gil. Really appreciate it.
Well, you know what? I forget who introduced us. I forget who it was. And the introduction came something like this. Call Christ Gardner. He's the smartest guy I know. Now, I was insulted by that because he also knows me. So does that mean either first or second? But it's I'll take the guest as being one of the smartest people I know too. So tell us, Chris, a little bit about you, how you got here, and I always say the message behind the man and why should people listen to you. What's your background?
My background was graduated law school and immediately began working for my best friend who had a real estate and mortgage brokerage. It's back in 1995 and was a real estate mortgage broker for 15 years before I started my company, FHA Pros, which we are a data and tech company and a processor of condo approvals, assumptions, and VA approvals.
So I remember when I had you on the show about 2 years ago, we were talking about something else. We were talking about condo facts, and it was fascinating, and it really was a game changer, but people aren't as smart as us, right? To you and I, we're like, why isn't that like bigger? And then about a year ago, you hit me with this, and I'm going, oh my God, floors me twice. I've been in the business 25 years. The topic I'm going to talk to you guys about today is amazing that nobody knows it. I am telling you guys, 1,000 realtors, you can talk to 1,000 realtors, not one knows what we're going to tell you, and we're going to tell you why this is such a big deal. So tell me a little bit about FHA Pros and why it's a game changer and how it's going.
So there's 9 million assumable loans in the United States of FHA, VA, and USDA mortgages. And they sit at an average interest rate of 3.25%. Now that rates have gotten above 8%, there is the opportunity for buyers and sellers to negotiate in the contract for the buyer to assume the seller's existing mortgage so that the buyer can just step right into the shoes of the seller's loan. And they don't have to qualify for the new rates and pay the loan fees and the origination costs on originating a new loan. They just have to go through the process of assumption during their purchase contract period.
Now, again, if you talk to 1,000 agents, they don't know how to do it. Okay, I didn't know how to do it. The escrow company doesn't know what you're talking about. The lenders don't want you to do it because now it's sort of not a new loan. So the reason why, and I guess it puzzled me, and I kept on saying, how is this not front page news? And then we simplify it, make things simple so people can understand. And you and I came to the conclusion that interest rates weren't this high it wasn't such a big deal. But now that interest rates are 7.5%, 8%, this is a game changer because real estate is about two things: your mortgage and the property. And it's a math problem. And now it's becoming a problem, right? So you come in and you're going to help the buyer, the buyer's agent, the seller, everybody, because you're the only one who knows how to do this, basically, to assume the seller's 3.5% or 4% loan.
Correct. Yeah, we complete the process, being the go-between of all those parties between the buyer and the servicer. The servicer/lender is the entity that currently services the loan, and we have to make sure that they get everything that they need that are required under the rules and regulations that govern assumptions from the buyer, from the closing agent, from the agents, so that the transaction can be closed.
So again, this is not something you made up. This isn't something you just invented and you and I are just going, hey, let's see if this works. This is a federal law.
Correct.
Got that, people? It's a federal law. Every FHA loan, and you said 18% of the loans in the United States are assumable.
Correct. There's 9 million of them out there, and there's about 45 million mortgages total. So about 18% are these assumable loans. Again, at most of them are at these 3.25% interest rates.
So you said FHA, VA, and what else?
USDA.
What USDA? I thought that was meat.
No, it's well, it is. It's both. U.S. Department of Agriculture insures rural loans, farms, and in rural areas. You don't see USDA loans in dense populated areas, but in rural areas, you can get a USDA insured mortgage if you qualify.
Grade A.
Grade A.
So just to make it easy, so for the majority of people that are listening, and you're not living on a farm, it's FHA and VA. 18%. And we talked about this last week, but I'll repeat it if this is the first time you're listening to me. When you would send me your list before, interest rates were at 5. It was becoming a thing. And then I would check the property and it was already sold or was because the market was the hyper. Things were selling quickly. Now you sent me your pass list and I checked 15 properties and all 15 properties were active. Okay. What is it that our listeners need to hear? It's like if you are sitting in a home that you bought 5 or 6 years ago on an FHA or VA, that is a very, very big deal. I call it a USP, a unique selling proposition. Correct?
Correct.
Is there a risk to the seller?
No risk. There are, as long as the buyer qualifies and somebody does the paperwork correctly, the seller gets novation. They're gone. They have no responsibility for that mortgage.
So if that buyer is late, it doesn't affect the seller. You are completely off of it, right? So if it's an 8-year-old loan, they are taking over the balance and they're taking over the interest rate and they're inheriting a 22-year loan as opposed to a 30-year loan. So if you know the math, that's a big game changer too, because now more money is going to the principal. So for the seller, again, does it cost the seller any money?
Doesn't cost the seller anything.
Will it make the seller money?
It will. I think it's economic fact that if you can offer your property with a lower payment, you're going to have more demand, more people are going to want it, and that will subsequently result in you getting a higher sales price.
So again, we were talking about this before. If the market is slowing, that means it's taking longer to sell. You need to attract more buyers, and buyers are sitting on the sidelines. This gets that buyer off the sideline and comes to your house. Instead of them waiting, they're going to buy not only your house, but take over your mortgage. That is a huge, huge, huge deal, okay? If you've got an FHA or VA loan, please reach out to me. I know what I'm talking about. Chris is going to do all the paperwork. I don't know how to do it. Chris is the one who does it because does it take longer? Is it one of those things that's going to take 3 to 5 to 6 months for everybody to get online and get all the paperwork?
It shouldn't. Those governmental agencies require that an assumption is completed within 45 days. So, and we're really good at keeping the lender's feet to the fire to make sure they complete the assumption within that time frame.
So you guys got to understand the process. There's a servicer out there, and a lot of times we contact you would, or the escrow company contacts the servicer, and they're like, we don't know what you're talking about, and we're not going to cooperate, and we don't know what you're doing. So they're like, you force them to do their job.
Correct.
Basically.
Correct. We explain to them that the parties in the transaction that time is of the essence and that they're going to be insisting upon the time frames that VA and FHA set forth that the servicer has to complete it in. And they set forth those requirements because they knew that the servicers have other things to do. And if without that time frame, they would otherwise take months and months and months, and then everybody would be angry and the transaction would fall apart.
It's like when the short sales were happening about 10 years ago. I mean, you literally would take 8, 10 months and you would have to fax. Back then, you'd fax the paperwork in and it gets lost. And people would get frustrated. It's not like that. If you write this up as a 45-day or 60-day escrow or 30-day escrow, whatever it is, they have to do it. This is not something we are making up. They have to do it. So don't be afraid. Again, you may contact your brother-in-law. You may contact your nephew who's a new real estate agent. They're going to tell you, no, that's not true. They're going to tell you, we don't know how to do that. Why don't you just go ahead and sell it? They're going to take the path of least resistance. But this is the path that needs to happen. The market is changing. You need to get ahead of this. We are talking to agents right now. Take down, how do they get a hold of you?
They can call us at our company number or contact our website, which is FHAProsLLC.com.
FHAProsLLC.com. There you're going to get the information. Reach out to them. I want you to reach out to me because I sell real estate. I don't want you to take this information and go to another real estate agent. That's the truth. But you may say, you know what? I got to go to my sister-in-law. She doesn't know how to do it, guys. Do you understand that? So if you're going to use your sister-in-law, which I don't know her, but I don't like her. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know her. Doesn't make me any money. I'm going to try to bring some value here, but you need your sister-in-law to call Chris. You are going to market your house with 3 bedrooms, 4 bedrooms, whatever it is, 2 bathrooms, 18,000 square feet. It doesn't matter. But the very first line should be, assume our 3, 4, 5% interest rate, and your phone will ring off the hook. Correct.
Yep.
Sellers, doesn't cost you anything. Why wouldn't a seller do it? We're going to get into who pays for this after the break. What's the downfall to a buyer, if there is one? And we're going to get a little bit more into details. But realestateradio.la.com. That's realestateradio.la.com. Please take down my number, 818-632-8006. That's 818-632-8006. We're going to be back after the break. Welcome back. This is Gil Azcarate. I'm not sure if I did my disclaimer, but it's better to be safe than sorry. My DRE number is 0129-8646. This program is for information and entertainment purposes only. It is not intended to give you legal or business advice. Please consult your qualified professional regarding your particular situation. So, now that we got that out of the way, we're talking about FHA assumables. Okay? It is not the answer to every buyer's dream because there's few of them out there. Okay, you have that list, right? And talk about bridging the gap. So we're going to use this as an example. If it's an $800,000 house and the loan is for $500,000 4, 5, 6 years ago, how does that gap, that $300,000, get paid?
So there's one of 3 ways. One is the buyer has the cash to bridge that gap. The second would be they go out and get a second trust deed mortgage, a purchase money second, to bridge the gap. Or finally, the seller can carry back the difference where they are a lender on the property and they lend the second trust deed mortgage so that the gap is completed.
Okay, so let's break that down. So you can come in, buyer comes in with $300,000, takes over a $500,000 loan, okay? Or they can get a second, which isn't that easy a lot of times to get that second, but it's not impossible. But again, if you're going to assume a 3% loan and your second is 8% on a smaller number, it still makes a lot of sense to get that second. Or the seller can carry, which means the seller can say, you know what, I'll loan you some of that money and they'll make some interest on that. So a lot of sellers may want that passive income. Those are the 3.
Correct.
Okay. So that's not hard to understand. Who pays for this and what does it cost?
The buyer pays us to process the assumption simply because we don't think that the seller should pay when they're offering this great loan with their property. The costs range from $1,500 to $3,000 depending upon the assumed loan balance, and that is paid at closing so that there's no cost to the buyer in the event that the property fails because they discover the property has maintenance issues or problems?
Right. Okay. If you understood that, there's no cost to the seller because the benefit really comes to the buyer. The sale, I really feel the seller is going to make more money selling his house like this. Okay, so that's not only is he going to sell the house, he's going to sell it faster, and he's going to sell it for more money. The buyer is going to pay you. So let's say $1,500 or $3,000. Let's go on the high side, $3,000. Okay, the buyer is going to pay that out of escrow, but he saves so much money, and this also blew my mind. Where does that buyer save money in the transaction?
So they have no new loan origination fees. They have no appraisals required. And there's also no lender's title policy because there's no new loan.
See, that all of those are thousands of dollars.
Correct.
So this thing pays for itself. So again, if we go slowly, you don't have to pay an appraiser. It's already been appraised. Okay. There's no origination fees because you're not originating a new loan. There's no title fees. That's thousands of dollars right there. This thing doesn't cost the buyer anything. And that just keeps blowing my mind. Why not everybody's doing it? Again, they're not doing it because interest rates were high and nobody really thought this was a big deal, and they don't know how. That is the hardest part to understand. They don't know how. So again, you're going to reach out to you. We're going to repeat your number one more time.
Oh, it's 818-338-6517.
That's your phone. That's your phone number. Or go to your website.
The website would be FHAProsLLC.com.
So there you go, people. I am trying to bring something new and exciting, and I am telling you, I've been doing this for 25 years, and I've said this before. Wait, I worked at RE/MAX. In the meetings that we have, nobody told me. The newsletters that come out from NAR, National Association of Realtors, my board isn't talking about it. I worked for an independent company, Pinnacle, 2,000 agents. They never mentioned it because it wasn't a big deal. Now it will make all the difference in the world in selling and not selling. Selling with multiple offers or just selling for more money, okay? That buyer frenzy is gone. The hypermarket is gone. When you had an open house and 20 people showed up and the first weekend you sell your house, those days are gone. What is going to make your property stand out? I think this really is that game changer. Anything else we need to know? What else don't I know?
The qualifying for the loan, the borrower has to qualify according to FHA rules for an FHA loan. They have to qualify for a VA loan according to VA loan rules, and they have to qualify for USDA loans according to USDA rules. So
they have to qualify. But FHA is the easiest form of qualifying.
Correct.
Right? You could have interest. You could have FICO scores of what?
580.
580. Can't even buy a car. 580. Right? You're going to get dinged. You're going to get the maximum interest rate. So FHA is exactly for that. It's for that buyer who could not qualify for or didn't have that 20% down. So now you got to come in with that gap money and you take over an older loan. Okay. Who are we talking to here, Chris? Because I know, and I love you because you're so generous with your time and you educate me. If there's a seller out there, please contact me, right? If there's an agent out there, please contact Chris. But who are you really looking for? Because the ones and twosy deals, I mean, if there's somebody out there who owns a real estate company, who are you really trying to get? Who's going to be that game changer? Who's going to take this and make it for the masses?
Really, the big real estate brokerages, I'm kind of surprised that they have not embraced this sooner, to have all the solutions for their agents, both getting the data so that they can know the details of the particular loan, but also the support to the agents, because like you say, Gil, this hasn't been a thing, so no one has any experience at it. So they don't understand how it goes and the flow of it and the time requirements and the underwriting requirements. And so the big real estate companies certainly should have a process by which they can get their agents the data and get them the support so that they can adequately advise their seller or the buyers as to, the benefits and the attractiveness and the savings that are involved in these assumptions.
So you got to educate the agent. So if you own a real estate company and you are having these weekly meetings that we all do, and it's pretty much the same thing every week, and you aren't educating your agents, listen, if agents aren't buying or selling real estate, they're out of work. You need to bring them something fresh. So if you're out in San Bernardino, you need to start marketing to all the FHA owners and trying to get that listing and explain to them why, because a lot of sellers were just going to go, you know what, I'm not getting the amount of money I wanted to. My neighbor tried to sell, he didn't sell. This really is that game changer. So if you have a big real estate company out there, please reach out to us. I'll put you in contact. If you didn't get Chris's number, please reach out to me and we will put you guys in contact. But this is really, really valuable stuff. Thank you, buddy.
You got it, Gil.
So, Chris, it's always a pleasure to have you. God bless you, bro. We're going to talk real soon. I'm going to have you back on the show because you just blew my mind with something else, and we'll talk about that maybe on the next show. But real estate radio, that's what I do. I am an active real estate agent. I do not get paid. But, Chris, you're not paying me, and I'm not paying you, right? The radio station doesn't pay me, but they should, right, JJ?
Yes, right.
Right? I'm the only one not getting paid here. So I fund this on my own. I sell real estate. We've got some stuff coming up, $2.2 million house in Pasadena with a view of the Rose Bowl. Huge, beautiful view that I'm getting from the radio show. I've got a $700,000 condo in Encino, 2-bedroom, 2-bath, needs some work on White Oak, close to Ventura Boulevard and the freeway. Great neighborhood. Okay, so I do from 700. I do $1 million properties. I also got a view property in Woodland Hills, 180 degree view of Woodland Hills and Calabasas. And by the way, that Pasadena property has got an amazing view too of the Rose Bowl. So it is something that if you are looking for Pasadena, it is not on the market yet. I've got a bunch of stuff coming on the market. Everybody's sort of waiting, getting that property ready for January and February. But if you want to get ahead of the curve, please reach out to me. Go to my website, realestateradio.la.com. That's realestateradio.la.com. Or call me, 818-632-8006, and I will help you wherever you're at. I love you where you're at. Can you still say God bless you in this country, JJ?
We still can.
You can. Well, God bless you, everybody. God bless our troops. God bless your real estate. And I really hope it has been a blessing to you and your home is full of peace and love and a bunch of equity. We'll see you next week.
Excellent.
Cool.
Perfect.